Agile is not lean. Furthermore, in this lightning talk, Staffan Nöteberg argues that modern organizations need a combination of resource utilization optimization, flow optimization, and agility in order to succeed. Besides being a brilliant agile and leadership coach, Staffan is a very successful author. He's sold over 600,000 copies worldwide. His book, Pomodoro Technique Illustrated, has truly helped me to be focused and efficient when I want to or need to. And if you, like me, sometimes need help to stop procrastinating and really focus on that one thing, well, you should read his book, Monotasking. Enough of the intro. Staffan, the stage is yours.
So, how important is agility? Well, we have seen that those who cannot evolve with their environment, they are left behind. The markets disappear or are taken over by competitors, their best employees leave, and the resources are wasted on initiatives that don't ultimately produce any results. So what is agility then? Well, unfortunately, there's no objective reference, but here's my subjective view on what agility is. So agility is not a way of working. Agility is not a method. Agility is not change or change management. And agility is not a mindset. Agility is an ability to adapt when disruptive, unexpected change happens around you. So here are 3 examples of disruptive, unexpected change. So this building to the right here is called Alexander Kielland. This is in Norway, or outside Norway in the North Sea. And this building to the right, it was initially built as a mobile drilling rig, but it was never used for that. Instead, it was used as a floating hotel, offshore accommodation for the product platform that is to the left, which is called Edda 27C. So the people working to the left were staying or have accommodation to the right. And on March 17, 1980, the wind was gusting to 74 kilometers per hour, and the waves were 12 meters high. So it was really bad weather, and everything happened in less than 20 minutes. It was more than 200 workers off duty in the building to the right then, in Alexander Kielland, and many of these were in the cinema. And suddenly they experienced a sharp crack, and the rig, the building to the right, heeled over 30 degrees. And 5 out of 6 anchor cables had broken, and only 1 out of 7 lifeboats could be deployed. And after just 20 minutes, the whole platform rotated 180 degrees, and more than 120 people died. And as a consequence of this, many new legislations and routines were launched. So the question then is, could this disaster have been predicted? Well, probably not. Could agility have prevented the devastating consequences? Maybe. So the second example is this diagram. So what diagram is this? It's a global market share held by Nokia smartphones. So what happened in 2007 then? Well, Apple launched their first iPhone, and Google revealed the plans of Open Handset Alliance, including phone makers like HTC and Motorola, and chip manufacturers such as Qualcomm and Texas Instruments, and also carriers including T-Mobile. So Nokia went from 50% market share to 1% market share or something like that. So could this disaster be predicted? Could Nokia have predicted this? Well, probably not. Could agility have prevented the devastating consequences? Maybe. And in the spring of 2020, this year, the world experienced the worst pandemic in a long time. So for most organizations, all this came out of the blue. Employees could not meet in the office, the annual budget became obsolete, and the revenues fell abruptly. Many organizations were forced to further centralize decision-making. communicating with the employees was difficult, and unfortunately, new instructions were exactly what the employees were waiting for. These organizations could not find any new business opportunities either, and their velocity was close to zero. So could this disaster have been predicted? Well, probably not. Could agility have prevented the devastating consequences? Maybe. So now, out of this, there are three questions. What is agile? How can we be agile? And when should we be agile? Let's start with the last one and using sense making. So, what is sense making then? Well, here's one definition: the process by which people give meaning to the collective experiences. So the data comes first. First, the people have experiences and the collective experiences, and then they try to give meaning to them. And here's an example of how to do this. Let's say we gather the whole organization to look back on the last month. We have a two-dimensional diagram. First, we have the vertical axis. Looking back, what was the most unexpected disruption? These were things we couldn't even imagine up front, but had great impact. Then there's the horizontal axis. Looking back, where did we have most challenging variability within limits? So what kind of variability could that be? Well, there are three things that exist in almost every organization. First, the number of orders varies. Some days we have too much to do. Other days we are just waiting for someone. Secondly, our resource capacity varies. Sometimes we have to wait for the system integration test machine, for example. Other days we don't. And third, every order is customized. Some tasks are much harder than we thought. Development is doing things we haven't done before, so we can't know upfront what challenges we will have. And what does the origin mean here? Well, it means that nothing has changed, actually. So during this month, everything is as we thought it should be. And people can then add stories where they fit in this diagram. And a question then becomes, how can we use this map? Well, depending on our priorities, we can emphasize different approaches. So for example, if nothing changes and we want to be more efficient, then we should optimize our resource utilization. But if we fluctuate from a state of long queues to a state of nothing to do, then we should optimize the flow instead. And the third thing is that if we suffer from game-changing surprises, then we should improve our agility. So what does these words mean then, these terms, agility, flow, and resource utilization? There must be some concept there. Well, here are my definitions then. Resource utilization is using all the resources to the maximum for what they are best at. And flow is minimizing time from idea to cash without decreasing quality and despite variation within limits. And agility is the ability to adapt to unexpected changes and wisely influencing the new situation to our advantage. So, but we have three different approaches here, and this is a short talk, so I can't describe them more like than this, but I will put my finger on some characteristics of these three approaches. So you can see maybe the difference of them. It's a simplification, but it still might help you to understand the three approaches. So, for example, in resource optimization, local efficiency is most important, but in flow optimization, system thinking is the most important. That the sum is, well, the whole is the sum of the parts, and in agility, complexity thinking is the most important. The whole is more than the sum of the parts. In resource optimization, they aim to exploit things. In flow optimization, improvement is very important, to improve the way we work right now. And in agility, the exploration is more important, to find out what's happening around us right now. And then we have alignment. Alignment is very important in the resource optimization, but in flow optimization, lead time and quality is more important. And in agility, coherence is more important than alignment. And in resource optimization, it's important that we centralize decisions so that everybody knows what to do. But in flow optimization, we want to utilize talent to use the knowledge that we have in the organization. And in agility, we want to just decentralize decisions. In resource optimization, it's important to comply to standards. And in flow optimization, the important thing is that we have excellent quality. But in agility, good enough is good enough. In resource optimization, we only stick to best practices. If we don't know the best practices, we don't even start. First, we find out what's the best practice, and then we follow that one. In flow optimization, we work with options. So you might have set-based design, for example. But in agility, we're not afraid of reworking things. So if it's good enough for now, we do it, and then we can change it later. In resource optimization, people need to specialize to be really experts at something. In flow optimization, the experience is important, that you have worked for a long time and maybe have some failures and you learn from that. But in agility, the diversity is important, so that whatever happens, we don't have just one type of persons. We have a lot of types, so we might be able to act on whatever happens. So this is a simplification. These are characteristics of these approaches. But what you should remember here is that these three are not either or. You need all of these three. So all three columns, all these 24 characteristics are necessary for an organization to survive. The challenge is to use the right approach in the right situation. And well, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Staffan. I love this helicopter comparative perspective. And thank you to, well, actually agreeing to reshoot this, because we tried it last week and for technical reasons it kind of plummeted. But here we are again. So it's super interesting, and thank you for taking the time. I have a few follow-up questions. So there's a link to the full-time video you referred to, and I strongly recommend that to all of you who want to know more about this. But how come you chose to pour in the time to do that in the first place? Why did this become important to you?
Well, I think that one of the biggest problems in our industry is that there are no objective references to Agile. So some people mean something, and some people refer to something else. And two people in the same organization might say that we agreed that we want to be Agile, but person A refers to some subjective view, and person B refers to some other subjective view. And if you see in the last 25 years, the term Agile has moved around semantically, even before the Agile Manifesto. I mean, and it moved really much around for the last five years. So I think that if you talk about Agile, you need to refer to something, some objective reference, and say that this is what I mean. And if you can put finger on what's the difference between Agile and Flow, you come a long way, I think. Because for many people, they think that Agile and Flow is the same thing, or learning organization is Agile and Lean or something like that. But if you can see the difference, it's much easier to talk about these things.
Yeah, I totally agree. As I work as an Agile coach as you, and visiting many companies, even though we might visit different kinds of companies, I recognize what you talked about, that especially in startups, young Agile companies, talking about resource optimization is almost a bad word or a curse, and people get allergic reactions from that kind of thinking even. But I do agree, it is important to balance. But what if any bad consequences have you seen where this conversation is forgotten? What's the problem? What can happen?
You mean if you don't use
balance this out?
Yeah, if you don't balance. Well, the balance in most organizations, I usually help big organizations, and their problem is that they have too much resource optimization, too little agility. But in some organizations, I agree that, especially in startups, it could be the other way around. And for a startup to survive, they need to exploit some things. When they find out that this is something that we can earn money on, they must start immediately to do that. They can't just explore and explore and explore, because then all these risk money that they got from the beginning will be blown away after a time.
Yeah. So and what when you have had these discussions with the companies or clients you've been working with, and kind of successfully managed to, I don't know, convey the importance of this perspective, what changes have you seen? What consequences or impact how have it changed the conversation or actions at where you've been?
I think it's much easier to talk with people that say, we don't want these agile ways of working because they are too loosely defined and everybody can do whatever they want. There will be chaos. And if you say that that's right in some situations, but it's wrong in other situations, then we have a shared problem, because both of us wants to find out when we should be more agile, when we should be more prepared for surprises that we can't even expect up front, that we can't even imagine up front. And we can also agree that we want to find out where there will be no surprises, so we should just exploit, and we have found the best way, the best practices, and we should continue with these.
Yeah,
I think these people are afraid that we are throwing out best practices that really are best practices. We don't want to do them, and everybody should do however they want to.
Could be fun, but I agree. Probably not the most efficient way to reach success. One final question. One more. There are plenty of great books on Agile, plenty of great books on Lean, and tons of books exploring resource optimization since way back. Do you have any? If I want to read more from this kind of helicopter comparative perspective, do you have any book recommendations or articles, or if I want to read more, where do I turn?
No, I don't really have that. There are many books to compare agility to resource optimization, or compare complexity to some simple thing. There are many books that compare Lean to some simple resource optimization. For example, This is Lean, which is a very good book. But I haven't seen books that really compare Lean and Agile and can talk about the difference. Maybe you have some recommendation there.
No, the comparisons I most commonly seen is that they compare for the sake of arguing that this is better than the other.
Yeah.
Not the bigger one, how it fits together. So sadly, no. But if any one of you viewers have, please comment below and enriching us with more knowledge. So we would love that. Thank you. Anything final to add before we wrap up this conversation?
No, thank you for having me in this YouTube channel.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It's been great. Take care. Until next time. Bye. If you want to learn more and dive deeper, Staffan has published a 40-minute long video on this very same topic. Agile doesn't equal Lean, a pair of hands without a brain attached. I found it truly brilliant. And of course, you can find a link in the description below. And as it turns out, this will be the last video of 2020. Please like and boost my energy to proceed. Click subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming content 2021. And share, help others find this channel too. And thank you all for your support and cheers. Here you can see a video from this channel that YouTube's algorithms thinks you will like, and here's another one YouTube think you will enjoy. Well, see you all in 2021. Explore, have fun, and be safe.